Good morning, beautiful people. In today's video, we're going to get the deck and hull all ready for fiberglassing, and then we're going to lay the glass and get a couple coats of resin on there. I hope you guys learn a lot. Enjoy the video. I'm going to go back with an angle grinder and clean up the edges, and then I'll go back over the whole thing with that round over bit, making it easier to fiberglass. Now, once again, I'm going to go back over the whole thing, starting at 60 grit, especially over the places where I rounded, and also working back a lot of the resin that spilled out and leaked in different places. Then I'll putty the nose, and then we will flip the whole thing over and start prepping for fiberglass. Here you can see the results of those efforts. There's a little bit of a gap along this edge that I will have to go back and either fill in with putty or allow to be filled in with resin when I put on the fiberglass. The nose up here, need to fill that in with putty, and I'll do that in a minute. So I've got a paper towel that I pretty much drenched in acetone. Should probably be wearing gloves, but that doesn't matter. I'm going to go through and just wipe off the excess using this paper towel. Since last sanding the hull, I've done a lot of work on the boat, and so I'm going to go back over and clean up places where, say for example here, where resin dripped, here along the edge, here where it got scratched up, and we're going to get the hull back to being smooth and beautiful. Believe it or not, I think we are ready for fiberglass. Overnight, a couple things happened. Last night, I got home at around 11:30 at night, and the fiberglass was at a nice leathery state, so I went ahead and trimmed it back to the hull. And unfortunately, today was a really hot day, and you can see in a couple of places the fiberglass delaminated. After digging in a little bit deeper on the couple of spots that delaminated, this spot in particular had a small spot in the middle that was delaminated, and then it was semi-sticky around that spot. Same thing with the spot over there. I kind of think that just in the heat things bubbled up a little bit. It was really hot today. It is still really hot. And the boat was out kind of in the sun. I think in the heat things bubbled up, and maybe if I just left it alone it would have, you know, settled back down again. But when I sanded it back, it did kind of separate out much more than I thought here. So I covered that with a fiberglass patch, and I covered over here with a fiberglass patch. Over here the gel coat was kind of thin, so I sanded it and reapplied more resin. And then once all of this is fully cured, I will go back and sand the entire thing and then start doing coats of polyurethane. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to clean up this edge a little bit, and then we're going to mask off the lower half of the boat so that later on when it cools off I can go ahead and just take it outside, fiberglass the top of it. Before we go much further, I have to take a minute to thank today's video sponsor, Elmer's Hair Product for Men. I read all of your comments, and several of you have commented about the fact that I am losing my hair. I lose some of it due to stress. The rest of it, I don't know where it goes. Now the funny thing is, there are also hairs growing in places where I don't want them. And that's how Elmer's solves our problem. Did you know that 2/3 of all men over the age of 35 will suffer from some form of male pattern baldness? Elmer's has a solution for you. All you have to do is slather some of the glue in the affected areas. Use the included tweezers to pluck hairs from unwanted places. Ow! And then place those hairs in the glue. Before you know it, you'll have a flowing head of locks that everyone will be talking about. Elmer's Hair Product for Men. This fiberglass sheet isn't quite long enough to make it from one end of the boat to the other in one piece. So instead of getting it close and then trying to figure things out, I'm going to use a trick that I learned on the interwebs, where you cut off a section and then you cut that section diagonally, and then you use the diagonal part to make up the rest with some overlap in the middle. Now while I wait for things to cool off so that I can fiberglass the deck, I'm going to go ahead and use painter's tape to mask off the hull so that we don't get too much in the way of dripping and all that other stuff going down the hull. Now that everything's all masked off, I'm going to start by fiberglassing the back half of the deck. I cut 2 small holes in the fiberglass for the hoses to fit out through. Once this is all done, I'll pull these down, put another piece of fiberglass over top, and kind of seal this in so that they sit nice and flush with the deck of the boat. Now that I have the top deck fiberglass, I'm going to leave this until either way later tonight or early tomorrow morning, and then I will trim it back when it gets to that leathery stage. Hopefully I can catch it then. I'll trim it back, and then I can pull off the masking before everything gets all hard and crunchy. So it is actually the perfect time to cut this back and pull off the masking. I already did so on the other side before I got the phone set up, so I'll show you that now, and then I'll do this. Alright, you guys, we're going to end the video there. Thank you so much for watching. If you're still watching the video at this point, why don't you go ahead and click that subscribe button, and you can follow along with all of these adventures, and I'll keep working hard to bring you great content. Thanks for watching.